episode of Mimi's Musings podcast. I'm your host, Gungo Mildred, and I'm so happy that you've joined me on another Saturday for another amazing episode. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking about foreigners. And by foreigners, I mean the foreigners in our country. Because we have seen a very huge surge of Black Americans coming to Kenya to visit, to want to stay here, to visit the motherland, to know how it goes. But before I get into that, I just want to remind you that, hey, I am a businesswoman right now. I'm selling some muffins, I'm selling some cookies, I'm selling some cupcakes, I'm selling some tea scones. So please make your orders, and I'm going to be very, very, very appreciative of you guys doing that for me. So tafadhali, make your orders, make your orders, make your orders, and I'm going to make sure that you enjoy all the treats. I'm still trying to figure out a name to give that business. So either Mimi's Delights or Mimi's Treats. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, so please, if you're in Kenya, if you're in Nairobi, if you're around Kasarani, please make your orders and I'm going to make them for you. Okay? Text me if you have my number, DM me on Instagram to ask me about the prices, and I'm going to be telling you about it. Okay? Sawa, let's get into today's episode. So I thought about this topic a while back. I think it was sometime in September, if I'm not mistaken. There was this guy. This man came all the way from the United States and came to Kenya. And I think he thought that Kenyan women just fall for, accents. Like you talk with the British accent, which will get me, by the way. Yeah, hey, I love me some British accent, but or the American accent, and Kenyan women are just going to be like, oh my God, I love you so much. But then he found that nobody wanted him and nobody was interested in his accent, because now the more we interact with these people, the more you get like the accent becomes like, oh, that's normal. So you're no longer like, oh my God, he sounded so good. It's just like, oh yeah, he's from the States. And I don't know why, or the way he was approaching women. I think because of the way he spoke about Kenya, he was a narcissist. He is a narcissist. And I think he's just a bastard. Let me just say that. Because this man went on to talk trash about Kenyan women later on after all the women rejected him. Like, for him to talk the way he talked about women, Nairobi women, Kenyan women, he must have had none of them. Like, even the ones on Koinange Street were like, yeah, no. Because one, this man called Kenyan women ugly. He said like all Kenyan women are so ugly, like he's used to beautiful women in the States. And he just walks around and they are paying and stuff like that. But then in Kenya, he came and he didn't find any beautiful women. All Kenyan women are so ugly. And I was like, what? Okay, I know. When the Bible says we are beautiful and fearfully made, I know I'm partly the fearfully made. I'm okay with it. I'm fine, because I'm sure there's somebody out there who looks at me and goes like, oh, she's beautifully made, and I'm okay. But that's not like low self-esteem or anything. It's fine. It's all good. But this man calling all Kenyan women ugly. Like, where? I'm like, what are you talking about? Leave those ones who have bleached themselves and those who have added I don't know what parts to their bodies. But Kenyan women are beautiful. Even those ones who are like, fearfully made like me, we are still beautiful. But this man was talking trash. And then, because I remember it was a time when I didn't have Wi-Fi really. But then I was putting up a show for either on Wednesday or it was on Saturday. I don't really remember when it was. And so when I put it up on my Instagram, that's when I saw the story. And I was like, what is this? I think his name is something Bell or something like that. So I go to follow the story. I want to read. I go to the comments, and this person, I saw the photo and I was like, I could be fearfully made, but I'm still beautiful. But then there's some people, they're worse than fearfully made. He is not fearfully made. He's ugly, ugly. And I'm like, maybe that's why women were saying no to you. So instead of taking the L and being like, okay, I'm not attractive enough to attract these women, so that's on me, it's okay, and move on. Because I've gone to places with my friends, and most of my friends are very, very beautiful women, honestly. Prettier than me, that body that people find to be beautiful, slim, blah, 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 all that. Most of the women that were friends with me in the past, nowadays I don't have a lot of female friends or any friends really, like a handful, okay? But when I was going out and stuff like that, I will be surrounded by very, very beautiful women. And I will look around and I'll understand, yeah, all these women around me are beautiful. And I didn't want to be that girl. Like when somebody comes to your group and goes like, hey, and then they usually say the fearfully made one is one usually goes, hatutaki maneno yako, achana na sisi, we don't want to talk to you, leave us alone. I was like, I am not going to be that. Because my man will look at me, and in the midst of all these beautiful women, he will still choose me. And I think that's why I always hang out with them. Because I was like, that's how I'll know that he is meant for me. And especially if he's also beautifully made. Wonderfully made, I should say. If he comes, finds me with all these beautiful women, and still chooses me, then I'll know that he really wants me. Unless he's one of those ones who wants to get to me because he feels like, oh, this one, maybe she has low self-esteem. So if in order for me to get to that friend of hers who's paying, who might say no to me, maybe I should go through her. Luckily, nothing like that ever happened, and I was very, very grateful. And it worked, actually. A couple of times it worked. But only problem is one of those guys was Eli or Eli, however he used to call it himself. And his one he came to my place and started bragging about having a car, and I don't know how many matatus on the road and all of these things. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, umekuja kwangu na matatu. Where is your car? Where are your cars? And he had two phones, putting them on my table and stuff. But anyway, he was just one of them, but it worked for me, and I was appreciative of that. So this man, he knows, because when you're not wonderfully made, you know it deep down inside your soul. I'm not wonderfully made, I'm fearfully made. And even if you have money, as a man, when you have money, that money gives you the courage to approach, people who are wonderfully made. And whenever you do that, you will find someone who will fall for you because, well, whether it's because they saw your potential, they saw more than the face, they saw whatever they saw, or they just saw the money and they were like, well, he might be fearfully made, but his money makes up for it. Whatever, for whatever reason that they choose you, it's okay. I understand. It's fine. So they be with you. But this man is a content creator. Yeah? He is a Facebook celeb and YouTube celeb and all of this. So he goes to this interview and he starts talking trash about Kenyan women, calling us ugly, saying there's no beautiful woman in Nairobi. Wherever he was looking, he would just see like ugly women. And then Nairobi is touched. It's just poverty. He kept saying that everywhere he looked, it was just poverty and poverty and poverty. And I was like, poverty for who? Like Nairobi. Okay, I'm poor. I'm broke. But people in Nairobi have money. Just because I do not have money does not mean that other people do not have money. And wherever he was talking, whenever foreigners come to Kenya and they talk about, Nairobi, I saw this, I usually imagine them being in Kilimani and Westi. And I'm like, those are the worst places you can call poor, because there's nothing poor about Westi. All those buildings, all those high rises and all of those things. You can't call Westlands a poor place. And if you're in Kilimani, the same. Those tall buildings and everything, the house that you're living in itself, it might be nothing to a foreigner because maybe it's 70,000 per month, which is like 600 and something dollars or thereabout. Like, it's still something. You can't just be calling Nairobi poor. It's like everywhere you look is you just see poverty and it's just nothing. I've been to the US and wherever you go to, and I'm like, I've never been there, but I watched a lot of American content, and you can hear the podcast and everything. You can hear the way Americans are speaking of their own country. In New York, Apparently, I was watching Josh Johnson, and he was like, he was with his friend, and the rat just passed by their feet in New York while they're walking. Like, okay, huku mtaani, maybe that might happen, but hey, in town, okay, maybe they're there, but I've never seen one. I know our pathways are not that well kept and stuff like that. We have our, hawkers in town. We have all the signs. I don't know. They removed them. Did they come back? I was in town the other day. I don't even remember if I checked or not. But all of these things. But there's some parts of Nairobi that are really, really clean, and some parts that aren't so clean. But because people are trying to make their living, so you'll find hawkers everywhere, which is not something you'll find, in the US. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they are, but I don't think so. But then there, what you don't find here is that you'll find homeless people just lying around the streets and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, there's no perfect place in the world. Yeah, there's some places that are clean, and the taxes that people pay go to good use and stuff. So, yeah, I'm sure there's some places in the world that are good. Like France, I had no, it's not. So I don't know. We have had stories of these places that people value so much, and then we hear that, oh, there are bed bugs all over Paris and stuff. And then, the US, the streets of New York are littered with rats and stuff. And then this man coming from the US calls Kenya poverty stricken. And everywhere he was looking, he was just see poverty. And he goes like, yeah, there's some tall buildings, some gorgeous buildings, but no, it's still just poor. It's just poverty. And you do not go to somebody else's home and start insulting the people that you find there, one, and then their home as well. You can't come from the US, come into Kenya, and start insulting Kenyans, calling our women ugly, and then insulting Kenya itself. So, of course, Kenyans dealt with him the way they deal with, nonsensical people. They made sure all his YouTube accounts were blocked and all his, TikTok accounts were blocked. So, because he literally makes money from social media without his accounts, I think I saw somewhere that just this past week that he's stranded in Kenya because he can't afford to pay for a ticket back home. I'm not sure how true that is, but if it is, I'm clapping, because learn some manners. When people open the door for you or to you, you enter and you remain quiet. No matter what you see, you keep your damn mouth shut. He came, and this man was also like an ex-convict in the States. He was convicted in the States, I don't know for what. Add that to the fearfulness and his lack of good manners, you can understand why Kenyan women were saying no to him. And maybe he was approaching the most beautiful of women, and people are looking at him and going like, no, you're not worth it. Because how do you talk? You can, as I said, you can be wonderful, fearfully made, but the way you talk to a beautiful made person makes all the difference. Your charisma, I don't know. But that man was just trash. He is. And I saw some other foreigners who are in Kenya talking about it and going like, yo, we do not condone that. We do not appreciate what he said. We have been in Kenya for a couple of years. Kenyan women are very pretty. They are this, they are that. Kenyan people are very humble. They are very nice and all of those things. And I'm like, yeah. Appreciate the more that feeds you. I know you're here, you're working and you're feeding yourself and stuff, but I've realized that a lot of content creators, international content creators, they have found that Kenyans really support people online, especially if you're talking positive about their country. Every day, I think it's also my algorithm, because I go online, especially on YouTube, and you'll find like it's a Nigerian person, or my first time reaction being in Kenya, it's a Ghanaian, it's a guy from, I don't know, Uganda, or they lied to us about Kenya, and it's a Mzungu somewhere, it's an expert from a different country, and they're all talking about Kenya, 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 Kenya. And I'm like, okay, I appreciate all of you foreigners, but can you not? It's as if they have realized that we can make a lot of money. And they do. Because as long as Kenyans see a foreigner praising Kenya, they flock their page and they like their content and they comment and they interact with that content and everything. So that was good. And I think this stupid man, somebody lied to him that, any content is just content. As long as you're talking about Kenya, it's fine. You'll still find. And maybe he thought that by insulting Kenyans, people are going to flock onto his nini and start a discourse, there or something. He didn't know that they were going to make sure that his content, like his YouTube channels and his TikTok channels, were all blocked. He didn't know that that was going to happen. Maybe he didn't know. Because he thought, content is content. It's Kenyans. If I'm talking about them, they'll come and talk here. And by talking here, they'll, the engagement will improve their views and stuff. And maybe I'll get more money. But yeah, he lied to himself. But foreigners who are coming to Kenya, please stop just creating content, praising Kenya, so that people could just, flock your channels. And then after a while, you move on. You can just come to Kenya and enjoy yourself. Create your content without having to praise Kenya all the time. There are a couple of people that I've seen who talk about Kenya in a realistic way, and they have been here for a while. They talk about what really happens. One thing that all of these people always say is that Kenyans are very, very kind people, and I appreciate that. I thank them for that, because that's how we are taught. We say hi. Even now, I enter into a place, I have to say hi. Even if I'm buying something, whenever I've been given, even if there's no change or whatever, it's a service I've been provided for, I'll say thank you. That person tells me asante, and I'm like, okay, asante, and then I leave, So it's just something that was built in me. I have to say hi. Whether you respond or not, I do not care. I walk up to your shop, I'll say hi, or good morning, good evening, sasa. Okay, nijibu, fine. If you don't respond, it's okay. I'll just go and order whatever I want. Once I'm done, I'll say thank you. Because that's about me. It's not about you. I'm not saying hi to make you happy. I'm saying hi because that's how I was brought up. That's what I was taught. And like my people, Luyas, hey, I go to the village and you meet everybody and they're always saying hi, especially the older generation. They will tell you hi. You can meet 10 people from your walk, from your house to the shop, 10 people, and they'll all say hi. I remember early in the year, my cousin came to Kenya and we went to the village to visit my grandma. And while we were there, she wanted to go to the shops to buy some things. So we went, and while walking away, we were eating, I think, to buy chipomu too. And we were eating them. And so I had, both my hands were full. And this man says hi. And I nod my head because I had something in my mouth, if I'm not mistaken. And I had, both my hands were full. And so he goes to my cousin, because my cousin, she waved back. And that man goes like, "Uyo mwingine asalimiki? Ataki kunisalimia? Unajua usiposalimia?" And I was like, hey, yo. He wanted to curse me or something. And I remember being like, hey, because after I had swallowed whatever I was eating, I was like, hey, I nodded my head. I nodded, meaning like, nimekubali your salamu, because, hey, yo, my village people, greetings are like, you have to say hi. I say hi to you, you have to say hi back. If you do not, it's like you're rejecting me, and people don't like it so much. So I don't know. But anyway, this wasn't supposed to be a long video. I just want to talk about these foreigners and the bad manners that they're bringing to Kenya. And some of them are good, as I said. Some of them are really nice. I've also watched like foreigners interviewing other foreigners who are in Kenya. Like this expert, somebody come from Ghana. There's this lady, she was from Ghana, if I'm not mistaken. But she grew up in London because her accent was from, the British. And so she was interviewing this other guy who's an expert from the US, and he had lived in Kenya for a while. Actually, he moved here with his entire family, because I remember him saying in the interview that, once he got married, before he even married his wife, they talked about it. And he was like, I want to go back to Africa and live in a country where the people around me look like me. I want my son to grow up knowing that there's a place in this world where everywhere you look, you'll find people who look like us, because they're black. Well, black Americans. So once they got married, they moved here and they have a family. They have a kid who's going to school here and everything. And he was like, I'm really, really happy to be here. I'm really happy that I'm here. My wife is happy here. Our kids are happy here. And there's nowhere else I'd rather be. And you see, like I hear such a story and I'm like, yay, because they got their happy story or whatever. And then there are others who are like, well, we come, but there's, because of the visa regulations and I don't know what else. So they are here for a while, then they leave because I think it's taxes. In order to avoid paying taxes, they come for a while. They can be here for like 3 months or 6 months, and then they leave the country for a bit to go and travel to other places. And because they say Kenya is like in the middle, so it's easier to get to South Africa from here. It's easier to get to a place like Dubai from here because it's only 5 hours away and stuff. And so they're like, we go to those places, we visit for a while, then we come back. And they enjoy living in Kenya. So, yeah, I feel like some foreigners are good. Some foreigners speak well of Kenya. Some foreigners bring more to Kenya. But then there's some like that stupid man who are just like trash. You don't shit on the hand that feeds you, man. You don't do that. And it doesn't matter whatever it is that you're feeling. You don't go online and start insulting an entire country. Calling Kenyan women ugly was the height of stupidity on his part. Because even experts like him were like, yo, what are you doing? What are you saying? And then on the comment section, I saw this guy. He was Hispanic. I'm not sure from where. Like he was Latino because of his name. His name said that he was Latino. So maybe he wasn't, but he was Latino. And he was like, it's true what he's saying. He's not lying because, these women, you see them, their pictures and they have used so many filters that they look different. And then you see them in real life and they're not all that. I went to his photo. I had to visit his profile. Like if I hear or if I see somebody insulting the way people look, I usually go to their profile to see. And 10 out of 10, you'll always find that this person was insulting other people, even them, they are fearfully made. And so in their minds, they have made themselves feel like they are more. And so when they hear somebody else being bashed, they go and start attacking that other person as well. Like it's that thing whereby I'm a short person. I'm 5'3". And I'm okay with it. I'm fine because, I'm a short person. That's how God created me. And sometimes, I remember while I was going to work, there's this time, I was at Ngara, that footbridge. I was walking there and this lady passed me. And she was like shorter than me. I could see the top of her head. So she was like 4 something or even 3 point something. And I remember looking at the top of her head. I was like, yo, I'm taller than you. And I felt so good about it. I smiled all the way to work. Because I was like, I'm taller than somebody. And they're not a baby. She's a grown-ass woman and I'm taller than her. I was so happy that day, my friends. Because it was just an amazing thing. So it's the same way. Like, you're fearfully made. You know that. And you're not so okay with it. But you tell yourself, I'm beautiful. I'm pretty. All those things. Like that baby who usually says those words of affirmation to herself in the mirror and stuff like that. So you tell yourself that every single day until you start believing it. Which, again, it's true. Because God did not make a mistake creating you the way he did. And so you tell yourself that, but then you hear somebody else is being bashed for who they are. You hear that somebody else who also feels like they are maybe fearfully made like you. They know this. They have their own insecurities, but they also tell themselves every day words of affirmation, telling themselves that they are pretty, they are beautiful, they are all of those things. But then you hear somebody else telling them that they are ugly, that they are not beautiful. And you go there and you also start saying the same thing. Mr. Man, what are you doing? Women, because I know I've had women bashing other women. Somebody has just given birth and she still has the baby weight and stuff. You know this. You have seen her being pregnant for 9 months. You've seen her giving, that video, maybe they put it up of her giving birth. You saw how much weight they added when they were pregnant. And now that they're given birth, they're trying to reduce it. And you're constantly on their comments telling them to reduce their fat. Hey, umenona sana. Akisi upunguze weight. Nye, 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 nye. All the time. And you're just insulting other women for no reason. And you're a woman yourself. Maybe you haven't given birth. You don't know how you're going to look when you give birth. Maybe you have decided you'll never have kids. And because you do not know how that will feel, you are there insulting somebody else. Instead of giving them time, instead of giving them grace, you are there insulting them because you feel like you are more, like you're better, or you have made better choices for your life than they ever did for themselves. So, I don't know. Human beings, we need to do better. Foreigners, when you come to our country, please respect us. When you go to any country, even us, because when you go to these foreign countries, one, we're treated like, I don't know, people who, sometimes you go outside there and you are like, home is best. Because at least home, I look around, I'll see people who look like me, and I'll get some respect even from the kids. But then you're in these foreign countries, man, and people look at you sometimes in a kind of way that you're like, I'm the one who's thinking up the place and I don't even realize it. So I don't know. Let's just respect each other. Foreigners, when you come to our country, please respect our country. Please respect our women. Please respect our men, our parents. Understand, we appreciate hello. Don't just come in front of us and start talking. Say hi. Please respect our spaces. When you're told do not take photos of children, do not take photos of children. Because I've also seen foreigners who come and they go to the Mara and they take photos with these little babies. Maybe they ask permission from their parents, yes. But this child has mucus on their noses and everything, like their faces, I don't know, dirty and stuff. And instead of just washing their face before you take that photo, it won't cost you a thing. Because I think either earlier this year or sometime last year, I saw a photo a foreigner had put up with a Maasai kid, and this baby's face was cleaned and oil applied on it, but the hands were dirty and the feet. And I was like, afadhali, that is much better. Because at least that face, the face that you're going to be putting up on your post to show people about Africa, isn't something that is going to demean African kids. Because, maybe their kids do not play in the mud. They do not, I don't know, play outside or whatever. They're always on the internet and stuff. That's them. But we allow our kids to play outside. Whether their hands get dirty or not, it's them, they're kids. As long as by the time they're going to eat, they'll wash them, that's okay. Do not take photos of our children with mucus on their faces. Like, it's disrespectful. It doesn't matter who you are. I might love you, I might love your content, but the moment you do that, I feel some type of way about you. Because especially if it's a woman, you have wet wipes in your bag. You know it. And you couldn't just take one and clean that poor child's nose before you took a picture with them. You could have done it. Not just take a photo with them so that people can say, oh my God, so-and-so went to Africa. She's so humble. Look at her taking a photo with those dirty, dirty children. Miss me with that madness. So please, let's be respectful of each other. Let's be respectful of each other's countries. Let's be respectful of each other's jobs, because you do not come and insult us and then think that we're going to let you keep your YouTube page. It was taken down so quick. So I don't know if he left already or if he hasn't. The last I heard, allegedly, he's not yet out of Kenya. And there's something that happened. I know I've just laughed, but it's not a laughing matter. When, after he had insulted Kenyan women, his father died. And I remember seeing in the comment section on that post that I saw, somebody had written, like, you see, your father couldn't even stand you, so he chose to die. Your father picked death than to be with you. Or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. It was something like that. It's one of those things that is so morbid, but it's also so funny. Because, it's not a laughing matter. It's very, very morbid. But then you're also like, oh my God. Like, the moment you read that, you find yourself chuckling and then you catch yourself, because that's what I did. And I was like, well, may his dad rest in peace, but your son is trash. And I don't know. I hope he leaves Kenya and he never is allowed to come back, because I don't know why Kenya does not check these things. Because if it was a Kenyan wanting to go to the States and they had a criminal record, I don't think it would have been easy, especially with the political climate in the States right now. I don't think you'll be allowed to go. I don't think you'll be given a visa. But Kenyans, apparently, we just allow anything and anybody into our country. As long as they flash us with their dollars, we are like, yeah, come in. We don't care. Because that man should have never been allowed to step into Kenya in the first place. So I hope the people who check for those things, hope they'll do a better job next time. Hope that we won't have such people anymore. And yeah, I'm glad what happened to him. And foreigners, as I said, may they respect us more than they have been. And yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. It was just a little, musing about foreigners and my 2 cents, because I've had a lot of things. Like this, his story is the one that caught my ear at the time. And that's why I was like, yeah, let me just write it down for this day. I'll talk about it a little bit. Because I was so upset that day. Even if I didn't care. I've been called ugly to my face twice in my life. So I do not care that you don't think I'm pretty. It's fine. I don't care. As long as I know I'm beautiful, that's all that really matters. I don't care. But then when somebody comes and talks about every woman in my country and calls us all ugly, like, I was so happy to see Kenyan men actually defend us for the first time. Most of them are like, hey, yo, our Kenyan women are very beautiful, even with our foreheads and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, asante di sana. So, yeah. This world is full of hate. Let's not be part of the people who, run it around or something like that. Let's love more than we hate, yeah? So, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want this to be too long. It was just a little musings about that, what happened back then. I know we have already moved past 8 kidogo, but it still happened. And he's not the only one. Even another woman from Tanzania also insulted Kenyan women, said that we stink or something like that. I was like, okay, foreigners wametuzoea sana. But yeah, people dealt with her and she apologized. So yeah, that's good. It's good that Kenyans do not let people forget. Like, you do something stupid, you're going to tell you that you did something stupid, and we're going to make you remember that you did something stupid. So I really appreciate that fact. Okay, so yeah, tell me in the comments section down below. Tell me if you saw that story. Tell me if you agreed with him or if you did not. Tell me if you also commented and said some things. When you saw that post, tell me what you felt. Did it disturb you like it did me? Or are you just like, yeah, nonchalant about it and you're like, I don't care. I know I'm pretty, so I don't care what he says. Tell me, okay? So please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And please remember to hit the bell for notifications so that whenever I upload something new, you're going to be amongst the first people to come and watch. Okay?